we are going to talk to your Secretary of State, Denny Hoskins, who I totally neglected last week, and I apologize for that. But he's back, and he's flexible, and I love that. Denny, hi.
Hey, how are you, Fawn?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. Today's the last day of session.
Oh, I bet you're so happy you could fly.
It is. It's kind of like the last day of school for everybody that remembers what the last day of school is. Even though I'm not in the legislature, I still had some bills that I was trying to get through, and there's just excitement on the last day of session, that's for sure.
You should do like the kids do and just wear your pajamas to work today. That's what you should do. Yeah, that's all the kids get to do it. Why can't we?
That is true, yes. Yeah, let's have a movie day and wear pajamas.
Yep, I'm wearing sweatpants and a cowboy shirt, so I'm good to go. All right, so obviously you replaced Jay Ashcroft as Missouri Secretary of State, and you had a platform that you ran on, and you call it your cornerstone, and that was election integrity. So how do you feel that's going?
I feel like it's going really, really well. I mean, over the past year, we've taken over off the voter rolls over 200,000 ineligible voters off the voter rolls, and that includes over 60,000 deceased voters and several felons. We've been working with our federal counterparts on the SAVE database. We have identified over 1,000 people living in Missouri that are registered to vote that may or may not be citizens. And so we're working with our local election authorities to identify those. And then we've also partnered with surrounding states, including the state of Kansas, and taking our voter rolls, comparing them to Kansas's voter rolls, because, like I say, we don't want any Jayhawks crossing the state line and voting in Missouri elections.
Get the heck out. Did you see in Minnesota they voted down taking dead people off the voter rolls?
I did see that.
I was like,
Minnesota,
why?
Yes. That's a whole different ball game up there. Well, and why it's so important to make sure that we clean up the voter rolls and do that routine maintenance is, we want to make sure that nobody calls in and tries to get an absentee ballot for somebody that's deceased. In some states, they mail ballots to everybody that is a registered voter, and so if you don't clean up your voter rolls, you're literally mailing ballots out to dead people. And so it's just so.
But they're going to someone's mailbox, and somebody may just vote for them. So it is a problem. But I just laugh at
it.
The People's Republic of Minnesota's going down fast. All right.
Yes.
So you made a lot of promises when you run for office. Trump, I think, has been one of the leaders in doing exactly what he says he's going to do. I think Obama did too. It was just bad stuff. But we want leaders who do what they say they're going to do. Do you feel you're accomplishing that? I
do. There's still things that we're working on, and like I said, number one, election integrity is just a never-stopping thing. It's not, hey, we're just going to check the voter rolls once and then forget about it. But I also said, hey, I want to help out our small businesses and make it easier to be a small business here in the state of Missouri. And so we've been working on that with our business services division. For anybody that has a LLC or partnership or a not-for-profit, they've had to register that with the Secretary of State's office. And when I first took office, we had a backlog in the thousands of registrations, LLC registrations and partnership registrations and things like that, where they were just backed up. And so we've really put a focus on that in order to help people either dissolve their partnership, if that's what they're trying to do, or help them create one. And now we're down, like I said, we were in the thousands of those that have been backed up, and now I think we're around to about 600. And so hopefully as people create new LLCs and things like that's still a lot. And we've said that, hey, we're going to have a party when we get down under 500. And so hopefully that will happen here in the next month, and people that want to create a partnership or a business or something like that can do that, and it will be very, very easy.
Yeah, I'm creating words this morning. So red tape erases green paper. I say it all the time.
Red tape, I got you.
It erases green paper, and we've got to get rid of it, and we've got to make it easier for people to do what they need to do within the limits of the law. But
that's right.
I mean, if you make it so hard that you're just like throwing your hands in frustration, I mean, I'd be exasperated all the time. That's why I don't run a business, because no thank you.
Yes.
And we've got all these people door dashing and doing stuff like that, and the taxation part of it is so confusing, and people are getting in trouble for not paying their taxes because they didn't know they had to pay any. And it's like, wow,
Right.
we have a crap show going on with all this subcontractor stuff and kids jumping into the fray who don't understand the ramifications. So we got to make sure people
Yes.
know what's going on.
That's right. That's right. That's exactly right. And our tax code is way too complicated. And speaking as a certified public accountant who's done people's tax returns, I've always said, hey, make it so I don't have a job anymore as a certified public accountant and doing taxes for people. Let's make it as simple as possible. And unfortunately, it seems like every time the legislature and government tries to make it easier, and hey, we'll pass more bills to make it easier, it ends up just making it a lot harder and making our statutes and Constitution even bigger.
I didn't know you were CPA, so you're getting mine from now on. All right, so we benefit from small businesses. They are the backbone. Everybody knows that.
That's right.
We're seeing a growth boom in Cape Girardeau. New businesses are popping up all over the place, and that's exciting, but we don't hear about the ones that are closing.
Yes.
So, I mean, they may be replacing others, but I don't want anybody to fail.
That's right. That's right. We want all businesses to be successful, and especially if you have a dream and owning your own business and being your own boss. Many times I've said, hey, I'm the best boss I've ever had when I had as a small business owner, and that's most certainly true. But lots of times, like you said, small businesses do get in trouble, and where they get in trouble is mainly paying their taxes. They get behind on paying their payroll taxes, or as a subcontractor, you don't realize that you have to pay both sides of the payroll taxes. You have to pay the employee side and the employer side, since you're a sole proprietor. And they get behind on paying those taxes. They don't understand what they're supposed to be doing. And so I've always encouraged folks like, hey, talk to your bookkeeper, talk to your certified public accountant, talk to your tax preparer.
18-year-old kids don't have those. So
That's
they just
true.
need to set aside 15 to 20% of what they're making and pay every quarter.
That's right.
If you do that, you're
Exactly.
fine.
Yep, that makes it a lot easier.
I'm just trying to make it make sense for the dummies who are listening. All right, so not dummies, but, well, yeah, the dummies. All right, so we have to look at agriculture, too. And I know here in Missouri, people like to focus on Kansas City. They like to focus on St. Louis. But we got to remember, most of Missouri is rural.
That's right. People in Kansas City and St. Louis like to eat, just like the rest of us do. And where does that food come from? I remember as a state representative, and this may have been back when I served with your county commissioner down there, Clint Tracy, and we were in a hearing, and economic development hearing, and the question was asked to the witness. It was some alderman from St. Louis City. Hey, where's food come from? And he said, well, of course, the grocery store.
Of course.
No.
Yeah.
The food does not come from the grocery store. The food comes from our farmers and our farmland and things like that, and our small business owners. I mean, farmers are small business owners as well. We have farmers markets. We have things like that. And so it was a really telltale sign when this alderman from St. Louis City said, hey, we just need to focus on the roads on the inner cities, not on these rural roads, and not out in rural Missouri. And I said, well, how are we going to get the food to the cities if we don't have roads to get there?
Yeah.
It perplexed him.
Well, that's because they never leave the city. They should have to go work a farm for a week.
Yes.
Go work the farm, see how hard it is. It's not just an air conditioner, tractor, and a swather and a combine. It's way more than that. It's just It's constant, never-ending, grueling work for the man and the woman, because everybody's got to pitch in, and they owe them a debt of gratitude. They should. I mean, no farmers, no food. So maybe when your grocery stores are empty, you'll figure it out.
Yeah, and coming from someone, and believe it or not, I have worked on a farm. I've actually pulled a calf. I've used a manure spreader.
I have to interrupt. Have you ever had to shovel up pig poop?
I have.
It's the worst thing that I've ever survived in my entire life, and it's horrifying. And people have to do that so you can have bacon, and everyone loves bacon. So there you go.
Yes. That is right.
All right.
Everybody does love bacon.
I like that you have this experience as a farmer, as a CPA, as a small business owner, and all those things wrapped around you make you a good Secretary of State. So you have to look at the division that we have between people who think committing fraud is okay and abusing the system is okay because, it's just free money anyway. But I know people who sell their food stamps who shouldn't be on them in the first place, because if you can afford to sell them and live off of the money that you get from the food stamps, what are your kids eating? We've got to find the people who are bilking disability. We've got to find them all. But how do we do that?
Yeah, I mean, in government there's fraud, just like any other business there's fraud, and sometimes the fraud you may not even notice. If like a bank employee takes a bank pin home, and uses it at their personal residence. Well, I mean, nobody really thinks about that, but technically, hey, that is the bank's property, and you shouldn't be doing that. But one of the things that we have is our securities division in the Secretary of State's office. And I've always said our securities division, if you or somebody your grandparent, your neighbor, your son or daughter, your mom or dad, your friend, has been scammed out of some securities, then we have investigators, we have a prosecutor, and we have a commissioner, a securities commissioner that can help get you your money back. And I just heard countless stories we had a lady in St. Louis who took out a home equity loan, maxed out her credit cards, and sent out a cashier's check to New York for about $150,000 and never heard back from them again. And so she got ghosted. She got scammed. It used to be these scams. We'd get the email saying, hey, you got a long-lost cousin or uncle in Ethiopia that wants to give you $10 million and give us your bank info. Well, although there's still that scam, and don't fall for that scam, now it's text messages like, hey, you've got you forgot to pay your parking ticket, or you got a toll that when you traveled through Kansas, and so you need to pay that, or hey, we've got such a great deal for you. And any deal that sounds too good to be true is probably too good to be true. Exactly. And so just very, very, very cautious of sending any money to anyone. In fact, ask your friend, ask somebody else, hey, what do you think about this deal? Is this too good to be true? Should I buy this stock? Should I buy this mutual fund? Should I buy this annuity? Get some buy-in from, especially if it's high pressure tactic. That's also a clue that it's probably a scam. So just be cautious out there. We see way too many stories that have come into the Secretary of State's office, our securities division, that we try to help, but people have been scammed out of their hard-earned dollars.
Well, and AI is not making it any easier. I have a lot of fun with them, but a lot of people don't understand it. But I've got a minute left, Denny. So, yes. I mean, you've been there a year now. How do you feel about it? I mean, how you doing?
I feel good. We're still rocking and rolling. We're doing a lot of great things in the Secretary of State's office, including defending the Missouri First map. The Missouri Supreme Court just came out on Tuesday and said, hey, the Secretary of State is doing basically the referendum, the new Missouri First map is in effect, and we rule in favor of the Secretary of State. So we've had a lot of big courtroom wins. I think that's our fourth or fifth one so far this year, and we're just going to keep plugging along. I'm going to follow state law. I know there's some out there that don't want me to follow state law and would like me to do something different, but that's not what I'm going to do. And so I'm going to keep plugging along.
Yeah, and I mean, you have to, and rules change, laws change, and we have to change with them. People would like to cause problems for you and say that you're not doing what you're supposed to do with abortion ballot wording, and that they think that anytime something gets changed on a ballot initiative, because you've had to change the wording a little bit so that people can actually understand what it means, they think that you're doing it to try to nefariously change it so that people will vote a different way. And that's not what it is. Your job is just to make sure that it's worded correctly so that it means what it's supposed to mean.
That's right. Fair and accurate language. And I said, hey, if you looked out the sky and you said on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being dark blue and 1 being light blue, what color is the sky? And you might say 6. And if I say 5, does that mean you're wrong and I'm right? or you're right and I'm wrong. No, it just means we have a little bit difference of opinion.
Yeah. And the sky is such a beautiful blue. You know, God loves his Cowboys. He made the roof open so we could watch his team play. There are stars in the sky, and the sky is blue. Go
That's
Cowboys! Right. Yeah. All right. I as soon as you said the word blue, I was on a roll. All right, Denny Hoskins. If people have questions, they can always contact your office, can't they?
That's right. That's right. sos.mo.gov, and they can find either my official Secretary of State pages on the socials, Twitter and Facebook, and others as well.
He's all over the place, so get a hold of him. Denny Hoskins, thank you, sir.
All right. Thanks, Vaughn.
Take care. Bye-bye.